What's up, guys? Welcome back. Well, welcome to part one of What If Belle Had the Omnitrix. I decided that I'm going to try more new stuff, trying stuff out, trying to get a better understanding of where my channel's at, where I'm at, and where we're at as a whole. So, this was my first idea, and that was to try out a different character for What If based around them. I'm also going to think about trying out, uploading tons of videos in one day. So, today I think I'm going to try to upload 3. And then, that'll be about for the whole week for about 3. And then next week I'll try the same thing again and again. If that works out. Or just one video. Either one. Honestly, right now I don't even know anymore. But I'm going to say thanks to everyone that joins. And if I pronounce your name wrong, I'm sorry. Some of these names are really hard to pronounce. Like this first one is XXICXX. I'm guessing that's how you want me to pronounce it. Will Gaming 183, thank you. Loyboy, ABXY TTV underscore Raider, Mr. Glassman, Koichi ASMR, and Worldly Cobra. Thank you all for joining the Discord. And if you guys want to join this Discord, it's down in the link below. You can at me over there, get my attention, tell me, complain to me about me not uploading videos, and you can almost guarantee I'll probably upload a video. So, before we jump into this what if, I guess I am going to clarify a few things for people who don't know what the Omnitrix is, or don't know who Belle is. Belle is the main character from Diamante, and the Omnitrix is a watch that lets the user transform into other alien species that is not their own. Even if it's just a mutated form of their species, they can still transform into it once they unlock Master Control, but we can get into more intense levels of that later on. We open up to a boy with red eyes and white hair. This boy is Belle. Belle is a nice boy, but he's also a very, let's just say innocent when it comes to his actions without thinking about what he's doing. This causes Belle to be on the receiving end of most of the things that happens to him. Belle just had his grandfather die. It was a tragic moment for him, but he decided to go to Aurario to see what he could find and hoped that he could become a adventurer just like how his grandfather wanted him to be. On his way of walking there, he found something that he found rather precarious. It was this weird thing in the forest. A giant explosion went off. This confused Belle, and he went to go check it out. But roughly about around 20 minutes prior hand, we open up to a ship. This ship flying, dodging lasers, as a small gray creature is discussing things to himself. We gotta get the Omnitrix out of here before Vilgax gets it. If Vilgax gets it, he'll be doomed for the entire universe. I just hope whoever is on this planet, if anyone at all, will be able to get the Omnitrix and use it for safety. Luckily, as soon as it's activated, it'll have a beacon so I can go find whoever found it and take it back if they're not worthy. In the other ship that was trailing behind the first one, a man stands there in a seat that looks more akin to a throne as he thinks to himself, this impotent fool thinks he can escape me by running away. One of the man's minions talks to Vilgax, saying, "Sir, from our readings, we can tell that this ship looks like it's about to explode." What was that? Does this fool think he can take himself out with the Omnitrix? That's insane. Shoot down his ship now. The henchman agrees. They see multiple different pods flying off, landing on this singular planet. This confused Vilgax and the henchmen, but eventually they ended up realizing that this was most likely the plan of the man who created the Omnitrix. Eventually, Vilgax decided to just pursue the Omnitrix after it landed. It had to be in one of the pods, so he really didn't care. But one of his henchmen stated, "Sir, we've done an early check of the planet to see what's different about it. There seems to be some weird energy field around certain individuals. They seem to be from an unknown origin. This energy seems to be quite different than anything we can see before." This intrigued Vilgax. Unknown energy? How does that work? But Vilgax didn't have time to play around. So he asked his henchman, "Is anything scary?" And the henchman replies, "No, sir. Well, there is some more horrifying energy when we get closer to this giant tower in one of these cities that seem to be instructed by the regular habitats of this area. This tower seems to be innately powerful, but it's nothing akin to anything that we haven't faced before. The energy seems actually kind of subpar compared to beings that are known of in this world." "Okay then why are you informing me?" "I just figured I would inform you, sir, just in case. Worst case scenario, we'll learn how to harness this energy and use it for ourselves. We don't got time to wait." "Yes, sir," the henchman says, before he eventually let Vilgax to his be, as he smiles. Flashing back to the boy that we just saw, Bell finds this strange capsule and opens it up. While opening up, the capsule reveals this strange watch, and Bell ends up picking up this watch. For extremely weird reasons, the watch automatically attaches itself to Bell's hand. He tries to swing it off, but it doesn't work. Eventually, he trips over his own legs in his confusion and seems to have the watch react. It pops up in a strange way, confusing Bell greatly. Bell tried to understand what the watch was doing, but suddenly he looked at it and saw some weird faces on it. He twisted the watch around and saw the faces change. This confused Bell even more. Eventually, Bell decided to try and go ahead and see what would happen if he pushed down the watch. So he found a face that looked kind of like a weird diamond, and he pushed down on it. Suddenly, Bell felt his body change in a very quick and unhasty way. Bell didn't like this change at all, and he was very confused about the situation as a whole. But eventually, after a while, Bell's body calmed down. He opened his eyes and looked around, and saw that his view of sight and everything else seemed to have changed slightly. He also felt really hard, and his movements felt slightly restricted. Not by much, but by a little bit. This confused Bell a decent amount. Eventually, Bell decided to stand up, but when he did stand up, he looked at his arms. His arms changed. They were like blue. They seemed to be very crystal-like in how they looked. This scared Bell a lot. He was mortified at this realization. Bell decided to try to calm down, but even that didn't seem to work. He tried to understand what was going on, but nothing made sense. He didn't understand what was happening to his body at all, or why it seemed to happen. Bell couldn't believe the current situation as a whole, and started to slightly hyperventilate. After a while, he tried to just even move, and he found that moving wasn't that much difficult anymore. Eventually, after a quick second, his body went back into his regular form, which confused Bell even more. He was hyper confused. He didn't understand what was going on at all. Just for the fact that he was able to go back to normal was, grateful to say the least. So rather than be ungrateful for this event, Bell decided to stay grateful for the time being, even though he had no clue what was going on. He saw that the watch had gone back to his wrist, and it was missing back during his earlier transformation. Thinking that the watch was for blame to what happened, he decided to try to understand what was going on. He ended up understanding quite a decent bit, actually. He understood very easily that the watch had caused his transformation. Now, he doesn't know how, but he decided to assume that it was just a really high-grade artifact, something that Bell probably shouldn't have access to. But he thanked his lucky stars for gaining access to it, thinking it would help him become an adventurer real quickly. He saw that the watch was also red, which confused Bell a decent bit, but he decided not to ask questions that much, seeing how the watch did seem to be on a timer. Bell continued to walk, and eventually he noticed the watch transformed to green. Looking around, he saw that there were multiple different faces, and slowly came to understanding each and every one and their meanings. Bell has all the basic Ben 10 aliens, so if you think of it, he has it basically. Except for aliens like Alien X, that one's been outlawed for obvious reasons. Maybe he might get it later if he conflicts with gods more often, but right now he doesn't have it. Bell eventually understood that this entire situation as a whole was kind of crazy. Not only does he have this weird watch, but all these transformations. He decided to continue walking to Aurelio. He called all the transformations by basically what they did. He ended up calling his transformation that made him look like, well, a diamond to be called Diamond Head. He also found another transformation that made him blazing hot, or looks like he became like magma or fire. Bell didn't really know a correct word to explain how he looked, but he just decided to call that one Heat Blast for simple reasons. Eventually, Bell learned about Ghost Freak and Accelerate, as well as Cannonbolt and the aptly named Forearms. Learning all these different transformations was kind of insane, but it seems like the watch gave the user a basic understanding of each transformation, which Bell was really grateful for. He was really excited that that was the case. Eventually, after some time, Bell just kept on, well, chilling, understanding his things that he was doing right now. Eventually, he made it into the city of Aurelio. He didn't know if he really needed assistance of a god right now. Even though he knows having assistance of a god is really useful, his abilities alone could easily probably match up against most adventurers. Or at least that's what Bell thought. He doesn't know everything yet. Bell eventually decided to go into the city. Afterwards, he registered at the guild office as an unregistered adventurer. He doesn't have any levels to his name nor fauna, and isn't in a familia, and he hasn't gone around trying to be in any familia. He saw no point to it right now, because how the current situation looked, it just wasn't necessary. So Bell eventually ended up going into the dungeon. He decided that this was a great time to test out multiple of his different transformations that he has, and decided that it would be time to test out his transformations in combat, something that Bell hadn't done. Bell was very keen at using Diamond Head. Seeing how it was his first transformation, it was also definitely the transformation he had the most knowledge with out of all of them. Eventually, Bell kept on working on his transformations, understanding each one and its unique complexities over the days. He eventually garnered a name for himself, as people started to suspect his transformations just to be transformation magic, rather than the device on his wrist. The device on his wrist did caught an eye of a goddess of whatever. This goddess being Hephaestus. Hephaestus was very interested in Bell's unique bracelet But Belle was very safeguarded of it, and Hephaestus understood that she couldn't really interact with it that much. So Hephaestus devised a somewhat deviant plan and had Belle join her friend's familia, or at least convinced Belle to join her friend's familia. Belle ended up joining Hestia's familia, a familia that Belle really didn't have any issue with joining at all. He found the familia to be quite unique, seeing how it was only him and his goddess, but Belle didn't have any issues with it. He found it really fun and a great time overall. Eventually, Belle, one night, decided to lay down and relax. He closed his eyes as he drifted gently off to sleep. And that's where I'm going to leave this off, guys. If you liked it, hit the like button, and if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. And until next time, goodbye.